Do you live in a different place than you were born? Well, that would be most of us these days, it seems like. And this is where the power of relocation astrology or astrocartography can come into our lives to guide us and to help us understand the kinds of energies that are happening in the place where we live now. My name is VerDarLuz from Divine Timing Coaching. This is the Practical Esoteric. I've traveled to 45 countries. I'm a digital nomad, and I continue to live and travel around the world. And I use locational astrology and have since 2006 as the primary way to consciously and intentionally travel for myself and to help my clients. And today I want to show you why it's so important to understand your relocated chart and how it differs from your birth chart. I'm going to do this by showing the example of the chart of former President Barack Obama of the US. And this is a really easy way to see how powerful it can be once you do relocate your chart and what kinds of experiences you will have by being in a different location. So if you've moved, if you're thinking of moving, locational astrology is one of the most powerful tools we have today to help you strategize where to go and also when to go there. And I'm going to show you what was happening in Barack Obama's life over Washington, D.C. when he was elected president. And this is something, again, that we could look towards your future to know when you could make a move to find a certain opportunity or a really benevolent kind of cycle that you can pick up on and take advantage of. So I'm going to show you Barack Obama's chart. You can follow along. I'm going to show you his birth chart and then his chart in Chicago and then his chart in Washington, D.C. so you can get an idea of what happens when we relocate a chart. Now, you don't have to be an astrologer to tune into this episode here, but I just want to offer you the possibility that as I share the screen here, that you consider that every astrologer will ask you where you were born. And this is one of the most important things to determine your birth chart. Well, as you change time zones, as you move around the sphere of the earth, your chart is rotating. The signs that were rising, the planets and their position is all different, right? Now, they may be in the same signs of the zodiac, but they're in different parts of your chart or different houses. And so I want to show you this so you can follow along. Barack Obama was born in Honolulu, Hawaii. And here, just kind of notice the position of the planets. Specifically, notice that the moon is here, and it's about what we call 5 degrees away from the angle of the home. Okay? But this is really important. The sun is kind of about 6 degrees from the angle of the descendant or partnership. So these are 2 of the angles. There's another angle known as the midheaven or the angle of career. And this is the angle of the ascendant or the rising sign over here. Is Aquarius rising. Okay, and he's a Leo sun, Leo setting. So what happens is if we move him to Chicago, where he would, lived for many years, was a lawyer, developed his political career. What happens is, see those planets that were in Leo, they come down to the area of the home. And in fact, the sun is on the angle of the home, and Mercury is even closer to the angle of the home. And then Jupiter is on the angle of career, which is very significant. And the moon is on the angle of the ascendant by 6 degrees. There's a lot going on here. So lots of angular planets, which means this is a very dynamic location, right? If you want to move somewhere where there's a lot of energy happening, you go where planets are on the angles. Now, what kind of energy depends on what kind of planets on which angles. And that's something we talk about in other videos, but I'm going to talk about it here with Barack Obama. And I'm going to show you the maps. So if I go over here, and this again is the birthplace. And this symbol would be the sun on the angle of partnership. And we talked about that. But if you come over here, right, many time zones away, we're going to zoom in here. We're going to go zooming into Chicago. And there it is, Illinois. And there you're going to see Jupiter on the angle of career. And even though it's not right over Chicago, it's pretty close. And then you're going to see, this is an asteroid Hygeia, asteroid Vesta, which we can talk about. But I want you to see Mercury very close to the angle of the home as well. So right away, any planets that are on angles in a location say, hey, this is something we need to pay attention to here. It's going to be a dominant theme for us. You know, here's the moon somewhat close, like we showed. Okay, so this is the moon 6 degrees away from Chicago rising. Jupiter, how many degrees away? Let's go over to the chart. 4 degrees away, and Mercury 2 degrees away. And then we also said Vesta was there. Okay, Vesta on the angle of part of the ascendant. And so whatever planets are rising or on the ascendant are something that we can identify with, that we have a sense of personality investment into. Like we just automatically sort of become that character or that planet. A planet is like a character inside of us. It's like, you know, a role that we play or a mask that we put on, especially on the rising sign. It's something that we really wear on our surface. So the moon is something that Barack wears here, and even more so, he wears Vesta. Vesta comes from the Vestal virgins in the Roman tradition who had the sacred knowledge that they were tending. They were the most politically powerful and dedicated servants of the Roman culture. So they literally tended the fires of knowledge and wisdom. And they were the women who had the most power and most influence and impact in Roman society. And so what Vesta represents is where we dedicate ourselves and devote ourselves to hard work and something beyond our personal selves, something larger. So sometimes it could be political, sometimes it could be more spiritual or sacred. And so this would be a sense of someone who's very identified with that role of servanthood, of being dedicated and devoted in this location. Now, there's also, with the moon rising here, someone that can be very, you know, emotionally sensitive to others, very empathic to others, and to being sort of nurturing and caregiving. Typically, if the moon is rising, we can be well liked there. We can be sense of kind of like, this is someone who's part of my family, because the moon is a very domestic symbol. And this domestic symbol is known on the rising sign of Barack Obama. So it's something that he's identifying with there. And then Jupiter on the angle of career is one of the best locations in the world for expanding, growing, or giving opportunities to us through our professional life. And it's almost like anything we could imagine could be possible where Jupiter is on the angle of career. I've actually lived and traveled multiple times to a place where Jupiter is on the angle of career, and I've taught there, I've coached there, I've led ceremonies there, I've DJ'd and done performances there. So there's been a lot of Jupiter growth and opportunities along that planetary line. And this is obviously happened to Barack Obama there because he did not only become a lawyer, and Jupiter does rule law and ethics, but he also moved into the role of working in the government. And so then you have, you know, opportunities, expansive growth potentials happening all around for Jupiter on the angle of career there. And then Mercury on the angle of the home, that often is something that where we could feel like, you know, let's say you want to work from your home, or you want to build a business out of your home space. Maybe you even want to teach out of your home space. Could be great for creating like a YouTube studio out of your home, or hosting workshops, or even being a writer. This could all happen where Mercury is on the angle of the home. It's very busy. There's a lot happening there. We can literally do business out of the home space there. If you want to be a drop shipper, something like that, you could do that. There's a lot of possibilities, but it also brings a lot of dynamism, and probably like hosting people in your home or having, business kinds of connections going on in the home space would be happening here. Now, there's more to talk about, but I want to show you what happens on over in Washington, D.C. Because now you'll see that the sun is on the angle of the home within 3 degrees, meaning it's very strong there. Now, a lot of times, if people would come to me and they're saying, hey, where could I go that I could build a house, or I can invest in property, or I just want to retire, and I want to feel at home, I want to put energy into my home. Well, where the sun, the life force, the creative energy, is on the angle of the home, that typically is the place where we would want to retire or call our home. It could be the place where we want to call our castle. And it could be the place where we move into the White House, right? Or become royalty, especially if the sun is in Leo for Barack Obama. And the area of the home, the angle of the home, is ruled by Leo here. And so this, again, could be a place that we could retire or call home for the rest of our lives, but we can shine our light brightest, the sun, by living there in that home space, right? So, quite obvious. But what I want to show you now is, and I want to show you this on the map. If I back out and I show you, you'll see the sun line over, let's go to Maryland. Okay, and see this? So Washington, D.C. is in Maryland, and here you're going to see the sun on the angle of the home. It's very, very close. So let me just show you the northeast map. And again, we can look at these maps over any part of the world. We can also look at them at periods of time, which we'll do soon. But here is the sun on the angle of the home. Now, let's look at what was happening in the buildup to the elections. Okay, so what I've done here, this is this very cool tool called Cyclocartography, and it looks at, it's basically mapping over any part of the world at any time. We can go back and forward, and so we can actually go back to during the election, okay? And what I've done is I pulled up 2 different charts. This is called the transits, so where the planets are right now, and this is also what's known as the secondary progression, okay? Now, this is one of the most often used predictive tools in astrology by both modern and traditional astrologers from, 1,000 years ago to now. We look at the progress chart because it's a fractal chart that shows us a year for a day what was going on. So if you're 50 years old, we look at your chart after 50 days. Why do we do this? Because it's this idea that the soul's kind of like the first 90 days of life is like an entire lifetime. And it's so this sort of blossoming of our soul can be seen through the progress chart. And the planets will then move very slowly. So like, for instance, the progress sun takes 30 years, like 30 days in one sign, 30 years to go through a sign. And it's like another part of you is growing, or a costume is now being worn. That is a new archetype for that part of you, the new part of your sun or your life force, or the new part of your Mercury, the new part of your communication, the ideas, the information, the way that you speak, what you speak and think about. That would be your progressed Mercury. Now, there was something very important with the progressed chart for Barack Obama during his election. It's the progressed moon. So the progressed moon moves very fast because the moon takes 2.5 years in a sign in a house. 2.5 days it moves through a sign in a house, right? It takes 30 days for the moon to go around the chart, 29 days. So look at what happens on election day. This is the only part of the world where this will be happening. So here's November 1st. And over those days leading into the election, there's the progressed moon right there on the angle of career. So that brings brings a very public persona. It brings someone who's very emotionally present. The moon is an emotional symbol in their professional life, in their career life. It brings this sort of familial or caregiving or nurturing, paternal type of energy, maternal type of energy. The moon is all of those nourishing qualities, caregiving, comforting qualities, but towards the career here. And if we move this forward or back, right, like it's there a month later, perfect for what unfolds in terms of the emotional body being just all about the career that has just happened there. And you could look at the month before, how close it is. And simultaneously to this, look at the month before, look at what's happening. There is this planetoid called Chiron. Chiron is known as the wounded healer, also known as the mentor, the guide, the coach, the maverick, the healer. And Chiron is on the angle of career right then. Right over Washington, D.C. during this time. And we all felt this energy. I mean, probably most of us will remember when Barack Obama was elected, even from other parts of the world. There were newspapers that said, the chosen one. Like, there was all this sort of like sense that something really different happened and that there was a great healing in the US. Of course, the first African-American president. We had all these echoes of, Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and all these leaders from different eras of American history and African-American history. And so there was this Chiron great healing that seemed to be taking place. And it was having to do with the career energies unfolding for Barack Obama here. But not only that, at the same time, the North Node, which is representing the collective evolution, the symbol of increase and destiny, was on the angle of career for Barack Obama over this part of the world at this time. Look, exactly in the month before, the North Node, the symbol right here, right? And then here's the day of the elections. It's still very close, and it was destiny unfolding. Right? And again, this is this is happening no other part of the world, right? And it's not moving that fast, right? And this is why, and then you can see here that just between, then over the first months of presidency, Jupiter crosses the angle of career. Jupiter is known as, was traditionally known as a royal symbol, or the symbol of sometimes of king or prince-like energy, but of benevolence, of giftedness, of opportunity, right? And there it was, right on his angle of career, right after the inauguration. It's back to back to back. And the inauguration, fairly close here is Neptune on the angle of career as well. All these career planets. Neptune, again, the chosen one, the Messiah figure. Neptune is the projection of the ideal. It's very romantic energy in the area of career, right? So I show you all of this to show how important it is on two levels to look at your relocated chart, right? As we did for Barack Obama, he always has the sun on the angle of the home in Washington, D.C., always has all that energy in Chicago, these two primary places where he was in positions of power, and we see symbols of power there, the sun and Jupiter, right? And then we have these transits and this progressed chart at the moment of his election. And this hopefully inspires you to also study your cyclocartography or come and look and get a reading around the cycles in different places in the world, especially where you are living now, because most of us do not live where we were born. So I hope this is, again, inspiring, opens up some possibilities for you. If you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe. It helps the channel to grow, helps more people learn about locational astrology, astrocartography. And if you're interested in this, looking at your cycles in different parts of the world or your relocated chart, let's definitely look at your locational astrology. You can find the links below. There's a lot of other videos about this topic on my channel, and I really look forward to supporting you with more locational astrology, human design, and mystically inclined videos. Thanks again. Take care. Namaste.